Hi guys, if you clicked on this video, it's probably because you think your pictures are, well, to put it bluntly, not interesting or at least boring, right? Maybe you've lost the spark or whatever. Well, in this video, I hope to give you some useful and original tips that you've maybe not heard of before of how to bring that spark back and bring some interest back into your photography. So my first tip would be just to buy photo books, right? Or to watch documentaries about different photographers you've probably never heard of. This really worked for me. A few years back, I started studying the work of Ernst Haas, an Austrian photographer. And to be quite honest, trying to mimic his work and learn his philosophies wasn't easy, but it really influenced my work. Even 3 years later, I still use a lot of his techniques, like for example the slow shutter speed, right? Because he used Kodak, he used Kodachrome from Kodak, right? So 64 ISO speed, so very slow shutter speed. So he had a lot of movement in his images, right? And he used a lot of reflections in his images. I'll probably pop up on the screen here some pictures that I took that are kind of reminiscent of Ernst Haas's style, right? So Saul later is also a photographer that I followed and bought his photo books. Doesn't have to be anyone too famous, too big. Just go to your local recycling center or thrift store and just get any random photo book you can. They can sometimes be really dirt cheap and a photographer you've never heard of, and you can learn a lot, right? You can learn a lot. They call it the art of copying, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's always been the case, right? You learn, you mimic, and then it merges into your own kind of photographic style. I don't know how to explain it. You can never actually copy something. Even if you were to try and make the Mona Lisa today, you would, even if you tried your best, you would make your own version of it, right? So learning from others, mimicking them, learning their techniques, learning why they do it a certain way is a great way of learning just the mindset of a photographer, really. And that will stay with you for a long time, even if it's a photography you don't like. For example, the work of Annie Leibovitz isn't really my style of work, yet I still studied her work, right? And now I know what I don't like, which is almost as important as knowing what I do like, okay? So go buy some photo books, go watch some documentaries if you don't have the cash. They're free on YouTube, there's tons of them. Just look at the work of old photographers, or even new, and their quirky styles, right? I know, for example, if you've never tried street flash photography, well, that might be a little bit out of your elements. Trust me, I've tried it. It's not easy, but it definitely gets the creative juices running. So anyway, that's the first tip. Okay, guys, and now for the second tip. It's gonna sound so basic, but it's to print your work, okay? So in today's day and age, everybody's obsessed with Instagram. I mean, come on, I'm 23, I get it, right? But when I'm composing a shot, the last thing I want to think about is that 4:5 aspect ratio on Instagram and how my work is going to be showed in a compressed format. I just hate it, guys. I hate it, I hate it. The reason we take photos in the end, or even in the beginning originally, it was for it to be printed, right? Even if it's not shown, even if it's just for yourself, print them in little 4:5s, it goes a long way. And even if your work isn't that good, print it anyway, okay? Now, I'll give you an example, right? Like, not everything you print is going to be a museum or exposition piece. That's fine. But if you go to your family home, right, and you rummage through the family photo albums, okay, you will see subjectively, not objectively, but subjectively, your favorite pictures. Pictures of you and your brother, the pictures of you learning how to ride a bike, or swimming, or being scared to swim, or being thrown in the swimming pool. These are all priceless pieces of art, right? They may not be in the Louvre in Paris, right? They may not be in Christie's, New York, but they are pieces of art and they are priceless, okay? At least to you. That's, subjective. And art is subjective, right? If you had to ask me whether I'd want to keep every picture on my Instagram, or actually just flat out just delete my Instagram or keep my photo albums from back home, I'd keep my photo albums, my family photo albums. It's a no-brainer, right? because like those pictures they were taken with cheap compacts and disposable cameras. Nobody in my family really knew how to take good pictures, but those pictures are priceless nonetheless. And to have them in a tiny little print format in a little album, it just, you know, every single year they gain more and more value. It's the same for your work. The more you print your work, the more value it actually gets. The moment you print your work, you'll actually know what works for you and what doesn't work for you. That little box on Instagram, your little screen, and your iPhone, your Android, whatever, it's not going to show your work off properly. It really, really isn't. A website is great. I really recommend a website, but still, it's not the same. A physical print will teach you so much more about your own individual style, and it'll motivate you, right? Because you'll learn that glossy paper and matte paper, two different images completely, right? And depending on what you like, it'll change the way you shoot. I guarantee you, there are nothing but benefits to printing. Well, that's not true. You'll be losing some money, right? But you can go to those cheap photo kiosks. I do it all the time. I mean, I can't right now. I'm in Cambodia for some travel photography, so I don't have access to that. But when I'm home, I go to those photo kiosks. It costs like 25 cents to print a photo, and I just fill a family album with them, right? And that way, my grandkids or my kids can see my pictures of my adventures. Most of the times, it's not my greatest work. It's not the work I'm proud of. It's just work I kind of like. And you know what? Keeping things you kind of like, images you kind of like, I think that's more important than whatever social algorithm on Instagram dictates whether your picture is good or not. It really isn't about that. So my second tip definitely is print more of your pictures. If you can, print every picture that you edit, right? And that's the best way to edit, by the way, is once you actually printed your picture for the first time, you'll probably want to re-edit it. That's just my 2 cents. Okay, so this is my last tip, okay? And it's not going to be an easy pill to swallow, but I'd rather be honest with you than be one of those other shill YouTubers with a you-know-what sponsorship, right? So it's to practice more. I know that sounds really basic, but I'm serious. You need to practice more. Now, if you don't have that much time, sometimes practicing more is, as easy as buying one of these. Like, I'll see if it'll focus. It's not gonna focus. It's fine. But this is a Digicam, right? Up. Let's see if it'll work for you guys. Up. Yay. Right? So this came out in 2005. It's got 5 megapixels. It's not great, but I can carry it with me wherever I go, and I take pictures wherever I go, right? I don't need my big hunky piece of glass, right? Chunky monkey, right? This is heavy. I don't want to take this everywhere that I go. I really don't, right? Whereas this is lighter than my smartphone, so I really don't have any excuse but to take it with me. So it's always in my pocket, and it doesn't take great images. So I really have to rely on composition. If I want to take a shot worth keeping, and trust me, with 5 megapixels, there's no room for cropping. It's a CCD sensor, whatever, right? So the images that come out of it, like, they're really not perfect. If you like that Y2K aesthetic, which I definitely do, then it's great. That's primarily why I have it. But it's also great for practicing, right? Because yeah, we don't all have 2 hours in a day to practice street photography or travel photography or whatever photography you do, right? But we do have that moment where we're filling up, our car or our scooter or our motorcycle with petrol, right? And you see something that catches your eye, you take a picture of it quickly. That camera is from 2005, takes a second to load up and take a picture. It's faster than my A7 IV, right? And with that, I practice. Without even knowing so, I practice. And these are pictures that I'm probably not gonna keep. These are pictures that I just have for the Y2K aesthetic that I show to some of my friends. I go to a party and I pass that camera around. It's fine. That camera cost me less than $5. It really isn't that big a deal if I break it. So I can take pictures in really interesting places, right? If it breaks, it breaks. I don't give a shit, right? It's a $5 replacement. So yeah, and the best way would be dedicating time to yourself and saying, listen, at least at this time, I'm going to be taking some photos consciously. That's the word, right? Consciously. Because what you really want to do and what will really truly improve your photography, and trust me, this has been the biggest change in my photography is entering the flow state, right? We've all done it, right? If you're a creative person, you know exactly what I'm talking about, whether it's painting, poetry, anything, right? When you enter the flow state, it doesn't matter about technique. It doesn't matter about discipline. You're in the flow state. It just comes naturally, right? But the more disciplined you are, the more you do it, the more you stick at it, the more you enter the flow state, the easier the flow state is to enter, right? So when I used to live in Ireland about 2 years ago, is when I really started getting heavily invested in my photojournalist career, and I started with street photography, right? And I would go out with this little fujifilm X100 I believe, an old camera, right? And every single day I would go out for about 2 hours taking street pictures, portraits, anything I can get my hands on. And I met so many people doing that. I got so many opportunities doing that. And more importantly, I got to develop my own personal style, and I got to know how I, as an individual, subjectively get into the flow state, right? Because there is no, I mean, if there was a book on how to get into the flow state, there probably is, by some like dirty hippie who hasn't watched in a while, right? There probably is, but it probably won't be much use, right? It's individual based, getting into the flow state. So the only advice I have for that is to keep doing it, and then you'll learn how to get into that flow state yourself. And once you get into that flow state, you've practiced enough, you print your work, you get better at editing, whatever, right? Then your pictures will go from boring, uninteresting to inspiring, right? Even if it inspires yourself, I mean, that's the whole point of photography, right? You're the observer, right? So anyway, I hope this video helped you. I hope these were tips that you haven't heard from someone else. I try and keep my content as original as I can, right? Making these videos has been a lot of fun. I love posting for you guys. I'm right now in Cambodia, very busy taking loads of street portraits and street photography, having so much fun. So these videos are a little bit hard to get out because my Wi-Fi speed is dog shit. But I really appreciate the comments, the love, and if you have anything to say, just pop it in the comments down below, leave a like, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.